Hi guys, it's Elizabeth here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today's video is going to be my 36-week pregnancy update. So let's go right on ahead and get into it. So that intro is kind of a joke. This is not my 36-week pregnancy update. This is going to be a little bit of a story time about my preterm labor and delivery of my son. He is 2 weeks old as of yesterday. So 36 weeks of pregnancy, 35 weeks of pregnancy did not happen. My son was born 34 weeks and 4 days on Saturday, March 5th. And I wanted to give you an update on that. I've had some people messaging me and asking me how I'm doing and what was going on with my pregnancy. And I'm really sorry it's taken me so long to upload anything. It's been a roller coaster, to say the least. I'm going to be making a few different videos about what happened and about his NICU stay and all of those details. So if you're interested in knowing about that, then go on ahead and subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be uploading all those videos in the weeks coming up. So let's go right on into my preterm labor and delivery story. The last video that I uploaded, that I'm going to link in the description bar below, was my 34-week update for my pregnancy. And I filmed that video on Thursday, and I don't even know what date that is. March 3rd, I think. March 3rd, or yeah. So at that point, my husband and I had been in the hospital for 4 days, and we did not know when we were going to get out. They kept putting off my discharge, and they kept doing cervical checks, and it just wasn't happening. So Thursday, I was just very confused and very sad and tired. The day after that, Friday, I don't really remember much about Friday. I do vaguely remember that I did have some regular contractions on that day, and they put off my discharge another day. So Friday was pretty quiet, but it wasn't too eventful. We really just felt like we're stuck here forever kind of thing. My husband and I both had said, my husband's name is AJ, so if you hear me say AJ, that's who I'm talking about. AJ is my dear husband. And if I keep looking down, it's because my son is laying down in his little sleeper right next to me, and I'm just paranoid mama. He's right here. So he's fast asleep though, so you might hear some heavy baby breathing. Maybe if you hang on to the end of the video, I'll show you him, but we'll see. He's asleep, so I don't want to mess with him. So Friday night, my husband was home for a little while, and I was in the hospital, and I was starting to feel sick. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling like myself. I was having some random painful contractions, nothing regular though. So I started watching West Side Story on Disney Plus. It's a musical I grew up with, and I was really excited to watch it. And then they put me on the NST, my daily NST that they had me on. And my nurse, my amazing nurse, Morgan, came, and she said that the baby's heart rate was just through the roof, and she needed to see him calm down, so she put me on fluids. Now, I did not tell her this because she would have thought I was crazy, but I think his heart rate was super high because of the musical I was watching, because I got really excited and I was singing along. So I turned that off, and I started playing some like random YouTube fashion videos that weren't nearly as interesting, but whatever. And then I started having very regular, pretty painful contractions, to the point where I was trying to watch this YouTube video and I couldn't focus on it. Like, the girl was going on and on about these dresses and these spring clothing items, and I just kept looking at the screen showing the contractions, going, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Are they strong? Are they consistent? And they were strong and they were consistent. My husband was back at that point, and he just kept looking at me going, you're having another one? Because he could tell by my demeanor and my demeanor changing that I was having contractions. So anyway, they gave me melatonin to go to sleep. They said, oh, you're probably fine. It's just your uterus practicing. My nurse did mention, and I do think she was right, that my uterus was really tired. So I was having contractions that weren't technically super strong, but they were already really painful. I felt like the muscle was very tired, and I felt like, like when you've worked out really hard and you have to work out, like you did arm day, for example, and then a couple of days later, you have to do some kind of upper body workout again, and you feel those muscles, they hurt. Doing something that would normally not hurt does, because they're sore, they're tired. That's how my uterus felt. So I was having a really hard time falling asleep. So they gave me melatonin. I fell asleep for 1 hour before the contractions started again. So this went on for a few hours, and then about, I think it was like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, my nurse came in to check on me, and she and I were just talking, and I just repositioned myself in the bed, and I felt something just go. And I was like, man, did I just pee myself? That would have been the most epic pee ever. I didn't even say anything to my nurse. That's how anxious I was. And so she left the room. I got up to use the bathroom, and y'all, my pants were just, yeah, it was very, very soaked. And I was all hooked up to an NST and an IV. And so I'm like struggling to pull all my crap into the bathroom with me. My husband was asleep, and I like sit down to use the bathroom, and I'm like, I just don't feel like I peed myself. So I'm in the bathroom, and I'm like, AJ, babe, I think my water broke. And he was like, ah, crap. So, and he didn't use that word, but we called the nurse, and he's like, yeah, my wife thinks her water broke. And she came and she checked, and she said, oh no, it's saying it's urine, but I'll go call the doctor. And so she calls the doctor checks and pulls up like this vat of fluid. And she's like, well, we're having a baby. And I freaked. I freaked out. I was so unsure of myself. I had no confidence in myself. I was like, no, you're not overreacting. But they're like, no, you're in labor. She did another cervical check on me. And at that point, I don't even remember how dilated I was. I was like super effaced. It's all a blur. Oh, you know what? No, my water broke at 3 a.m. Yeah, my water broke at 3 a.m. And so, yeah, I was contracting for a couple of hours, and after 1 hour of it, I said, give me the epidural, and they did. Thank God. My uterus was so exhausted, and I couldn't handle the pain anymore. I was so tired. I'd been in the hospital since Monday. It was Saturday morning, and I could not deal with it. I'd already told the doctor that I wanted the epidural because the whole natural birth thing wasn't, he's stretching. The natural birth thing wasn't going to happen to me. I already had 2 IVs going, an NST on my belly. Like, I couldn't get down on the ground and push. I couldn't get on my knees and push. I couldn't do any of the things that help with natural pain management. I couldn't get in the bathtub. Like, I was so limited because of the high risk pregnancy and the fact that it was preterm. So all of it kind of went out the window. The one thing that kind of helped was my husband was super supportive. I had a playlist going on. We had essential oils going. So yeah, water broke at 3. I started pushing at like 5:30, 5:45, and at 6:19 in the morning, he was born. It happened very quickly. I wasn't expecting it, and I was in shock, to be 100% honest with you. So that's my like delivery story. I could go into a lot more detail than I did, but I feel like I'm already rambling a lot. I think that, I don't know why I'm crying. I think talking about it is a little harder than I thought it was going to be. I had a lot of grand plans for how I was going to labor and deliver. I had a birth plan that I'd worked on for, the last few months of the pregnancy. And there's so much information out there about the things that you should do that are best for you and your baby. And one of them was about the golden hour. Which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically the first hour after the baby's born, you should be able to, I'm gonna go like gather myself. You want to have your baby skin to skin, you want to breastfeed. That's what you should try to do at the hour after the baby's born. And we also wanted to do delayed cord clamping so that he would get all the benefits of the cord, blood and everything. And I had his bag all packed with his outfits and his passies and his toys and his nameplate. And, you know, none of that happened. Because he was a preemie, yeah, none of it happened. When I pushed him out, I got to see him for a second, before they whisked him off of me. His umbilical cord was so short that they had to cut it like immediately. Yeah, it was too short. So that didn't happen. My husband did get to cut it, so that was cool. But then the NICU nurses whisked him off, so I didn't hold him. And he wasn't crying, so I was very scared. They said, oh, he's beautiful, he's great, you know, but he wasn't crying. He was very calm. They had to take him to the warmer and they cleaned him really quickly. They put a hat and a diaper on him. He peed on them. And they were talking about him and they weighed him. AJ got to take a picture of them weighing him, and I was just laying there while my doctor stitched me up. And they brought him back so that I could hold him, and I got to hold him for maybe 1 minute total. And I have a video of a little bit of it.
Keep talking.
Love my sweet baby.
Okay.
What do you want your name to be, sweetie?
And my husband got to hold him for about 30 seconds and then he was gone. We had to deal with that. I had to deal with it. And I hadn't slept. I was really tired. My husband was just very anxiously waiting for them to tell him he could see him in the NICU, because that's where they took him. They took him to the NICU, and my husband didn't get to see him for about an hour to 2 hours after he was born. That's where our NICU journey started. I'm hoping to make a whole video on our NICU experience. I think for me that this entire labor and delivery process, and then our NICU stay, he was in the NICU for 9 days. I think it just taught me just how much, like, as much as you try to prepare, sometimes you can't prepare enough. Sometimes you can't get your ducks in a row enough for it to be the case for you. And that no matter how hard you work and how hard you try to be a good mom, that sometimes you're going to have ideas in your head of what being a good mom is, and sometimes you can't, and it's not your fault, and it's not what you chose, it's not what you wanted. And I think that's okay, and I think it's okay that I'm still crying, that I'm still grieving it, because it was a loss. It was a loss of my birth story that I wanted, and that fear that I felt for him from the moment that I knew I was in labor. And that did not stop until we had him out of the NICU. I think that's valid, and I think that it's fair to grieve, and I think it's okay to cry, and I think that it's okay to be sad that I missed out on that experience. And that's not even going into the NICU. Like, that's a whole other thing that I have a lot of grief from. But anyway, I am sorry that I'm crying in this video, but I may leave it in. And if I do, it's because I'm trying to show, if you're a mom who's had to go through this, or maybe you have to go through this, I hope you don't. I hope that nobody watching this video has to go through what we went through, or go through something worse. Some moms that I saw the NICU went through way worse than I did. So I have this level of understanding that I didn't have before about premature babies. And it's something I think I'll carry with me forever. The good news is that he is home. We brought our son home, and we brought him home when he was 9 days old, and he did so great in the NICU. He just blew all of the doctors and nurses away. He blew everyone away. He blew us away. And he's very strong. He's very healthy. He's already gained back his birth weight and then some. And we decided to name him Joseph. I had told you guys that we weren't sure what we were going to name him. We ended up naming him more than 24 hours after he was born. We could not decide. We did go with Joseph, and I'm so excited that we went with that name, because Joseph is probably one of my favorite people in the Bible. I love Joseph's story in the Old Testament. It's also my husband's middle name. He does not go by his middle name, but it's his middle name. And we love all the nicknames that go with Joseph. So we call him Joey, we call him Jojo, we call him Joe. His grandparents call him JP sometimes. I don't call him that. I thought I would, but I don't. I usually call him Joey or Jojo right now. But if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you for that. I'm excited to share my motherhood journey with you guys, and I'm gonna pick him up so that you can meet him. So this is my son. This is my son Joey. He is just the sweetest in the whole world, and we are so proud of him, and we are so proud of everything that he is and everything that he's already accomplished. And I'm just excited to finally introduce him to you guys. So this is Joey, and he says hello YouTube, hello audience. I'm gonna keep sleeping now. Good night. Thank you so much for watching this very rambly video. If you made it all the way to the end, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.